welcome to the Redscast podcast. Finally, we're talking after a win. I'm joined today by Chris. How are we doing, mate?
I'm doing excellently, mate. I'm doing excellently. I'm very happy to be here, of course.
What do you think of us finally getting a win?
Oh, mate, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Isn't it a brilliant feeling to actually be on a victorious side? We took it for granted for 3 or 4 years, winning every single game. But now we're here. We've won a game, and it actually makes you really appreciate it, despite the fact it's against one of the worst sides in Premier League history.
What's so bad about Sheffield United, do you reckon, then? Because they've been last year they were boss. Do you really think it's down to just their keeper being atrocious?
I just think it's the fact that I think they're along with us, and I mentioned this in one of our videos before, is that they are one of the biggest clubs that are suffering without their crowd, like massively. The Bramall Lane crowd is known, well, countrywide at least, if not worldwide, for their support of their team, and they do really well. But no, their investment has been one of that of a championship club. The ones haven't worked out. Riyad Brewster, notably, another one that hasn't worked out, and the fact that Ramsdale is pretty ropey.
I mean, is he going to be one of the first keepers to go down twice?
Yeah, probably, mate. Probably.
But the first half I was looking at that game, like the first half, and I was thinking, this every keeper turns up as prime Ray Clements against Liverpool, don't they? And then I was just thinking, this isn't going to happen. And then pulled out the bag.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been one of them. Part of it has been, the keepers performing well against us. Part of it has been the fact that we haven't been able to finish our dinner, to be honest, lad. It's been straight at the keeper. I don't think Ramsdale had to do that much in terms of any of them. The one maybe he had to do a little bit more for was the Firmino one where he left his arm out. But that's about it, to be honest, mate. We've seen the likes of Darlow. Johnston was probably the best one, and that was for West Brom. Who else has played well against us? I can't remember now. But a lot of them have, and yeah, it felt good, mate, and especially CJ17, your boy, getting on the score sheet.
I was made up. Yeah, I mean, you tweeted me mugshot out after it. Because that's one thing he probably does need to add to his game, isn't it? A bit more goals.
Yeah, but we've seen it, I think he's played 45 games for Liverpool now, scored 7 or 8 goals, which isn't bad, but I think the role that he was playing in limited him a little bit, if you know what I mean. Like he played a sort of Wijnaldum role in that 8, where he's more of a crossover between an 8 and a 10, a bit like Philippe Coutinho, actually, in the way that he plays. He's very, very good individually. He's got such spark and raw talent that you just think he's limited in that role, but hopefully we can see him play in that further role forward in that new system, that sort of 3-4-3-ishy system that we played against Sheffield United. I don't know whether that'll be replicated as we play Chelsea next time.
Well, the system changed a little bit, like you said. I mean, we had 16 shots and 8 on target, which is the first time we've had numbers like that in since Palace, probably 16 shots with 8 on target. We haven't had anything on target. Would you go with that system against Chelsea, with the playing like 3 at the back and just the rest of the team up front?
Well, Chelsea play quite a similar shape to Sheffield United, with Hudson-Odoi and whoever else is on the right, Reece James usually, or Azpilicueta or something like that, on the right wing back and left wing back roles. I think that why the hell not? If it's not broken, don't fix it, mate. If it's not broken, do not fix it. And it certainly works. Whether it's a long-term thing or whether we'll shift back to the 4-3-3 again, who knows?
It seems like that's the plan B, though, done it for the low block teams. We've never really had that plan B to stop a team that comes at us with the low block, and that was it. But Chelsea are probably going to attack us, aren't they, on midweek or tomorrow? Yeah,
they will. But I think Jack said probably on the LSE Transfer Room channel, if anyone listening hasn't checked that out, go do that. Cheeky plug, as per usual. He said that Chelsea remind him a little bit of United under Van Gaal, which, very possession based, very, not quite penetrative, but when they get a goal, they can just keep the ball, and that's how it is. So we have to make sure that we stick in the game early on. But you know what? I do think that they'll come out and attack us, but Tuchel at Anfield has got a very, very questionable record. So that remains to be seen whether he thinks he can come out and attack like he has done previously.
Do you think Jurgen's got the better of Tuchel? Because every time Jurgen goes up against a German team, I think Liverpool are gonna do it. We seen with Bayern Munich, everyone said they were wrote off when we battered them, and then they done Tottenham next year. And Tuchel's Jurgen's apprentice.
To say he's got his number would be a little bit of an exaggeration. I mean, they didn't do too badly at home, but I suppose, when you've got the likes of Neymar and Mbappe and Di Maria at the time, and Cavani as well, you're expected to win all your home games. And even then, we managed to get back into it. We weren't playing our best at that time anyway. James Milner, I believe, scored the penalty there. I do think at Anfield, though, even though the Anfield mystique has gone with the fans, I do think Tuchel's got a little bit of a mental block there. That's what my encouragement is, and I think that Jurgen Klopp will give him another lesson at Anfield.
He's had a good start, though, hasn't he, since he's been there. The biggest test he had maybe is United, and he drew that game, and he looked like quite a defensive side. But then after the game, Tuchel was saying, I want them to attack more. They weren't good enough going forward. So do you think they're going to come at us, or do you think we'll probably see a similar system to that they deployed against United?
If I was Chelsea, right, what are the good results for me in terms of risks? If I'm thinking, if I was a Chelsea fan, and this isn't being defeatist or anything, I would say that a draw at Anfield at any time, whether Liverpool are in a good way or a bad way, is a good result. I genuinely think if Tuchel sees it like he did against United, it'll be exactly the same. I genuinely think if I was them, I'd be saying, right, draw's all right. If we can nick a win, that'd be fine. That's pretty much all teams coming to Anfield at the moment, apart from maybe City.
Yeah, but if we win, we go fourth as well. So for them, it's a must. Like you said, a draw is what they should really be playing for, isn't it?
Yeah, a win's amazing. It would be extra 2 points bonus on the top, but a draw's fine.
And we need to win, actually, because of Everton.
Yeah, exactly. Everton and Villa as well. Don't forget about Villa. They're not that far away. Arsenal, Spurs, I don't know what they're at the moment. I know Arsenal are a little bit further back. With Spurs looking a little bit more back in form. Gareth Bale playing well, playing good football for the first time in 2 years since the Champions League final. Unbelievable. Yeah, so you know what? If I was Chelsea, and again, I'm not being defeatist, I'm sure there's some Chelsea fans who think they can come and walk all over us at Anfield. But if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'd say draw. Draw would be a great result.
Is the plus with Everton creeping up on us that their game in hand is against Aston Villa?
I didn't even know that, so that's some good research, lad. Yeah, of course it is. It's definitely a bonus. I mean, I think with Villa, and they don't have the consistency that Everton do, I don't think, because even though they're both sort of inconsistent sides, if you take Grealish out of Aston Villa, I don't think it has the same impact as if you take, say, Rodriguez out of Everton. I think Villa are so primed on that focal point of Jack Grealish. The likes of Watkins and Traore work off Grealish. So yeah, I'd say that it does, but please, I prefer a draw, if not a Villa win, just for a bit of bias, lad.
But the Everton play tomorrow before us against West Brom, so we could go into the game in 6th or 7th behind Everton. So should Jurgen just be in that dressing room saying we don't want to finish tonight below Everton and Chelsea?
Yeah, just below Everton. I think he doesn't like. Do you remember what he said in the press conference? He's like, we don't think we'd be in this situation like by Everton. So yeah. No, of course he will. It's a local rivalry. These players, especially Trent and Curtis, know exactly what it means. And I don't think West Brom are as easy a pushover as they once were, as proven by us. But they played okay against Brighton on the weekend. I mean, they got very, very lucky. I was there myself, actually. They got extremely lucky in 3 situations. But apart from that, Brighton rarely threatened. And then you've got they drew against Man United as well. They're not a bad side. It's a Big Sam team. You know what you're going to get. And they've got the blueprint of big teams sometimes in this league. And if Everton don't get an early goal, West Brom is no easy task.
We found that out, didn't we, ourselves? After Chelsea, though, we've got games like Fulham, Wolves, Arsenal, Villa, Leeds. They're not easy games, are they? Like, this is probably the hardest run of games we've got. We haven't got the nicest end to the season, really. When you think about like the past few years, we've had nice finishes. This isn't nice. I mean, Fulham probably be the only exception, but Wolves looked decent against City yesterday. Scott Parker's Fulham are looking decent. Arsenal looking really, really good at the minute. Like Villa, Leeds, it just makes this game so much more important. Because I think if we win this after beating Sheffield United and then we go and beat Fulham, that's a run of 3 wins. It gives us that confidence again. Jota's back, Fabinho's back.
Yeah.
It's all positive, really. The most positive it's been this season, isn't it?
Well, since Palace, definitely. This year, maybe, yeah. I'd say so. But then if you have a look at the run of games that we've had previously, we had Brighton at home, we had Burnley at home, and we lost them. We lost to Everton, which is usually a guaranteed 3 points. I don't think we should pay too much attention. It's to quote Brendan Rodgers, because it's one of his most famous sayings. It's all about the next game, and you have to do it. That is exactly what we have to do. The way we're going to finish in the top 4 is by just winning games. It doesn't matter who against or predicting who we're playing in 3 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time, playing off against each other. If we win the rest of our games, we finish in the top 4. In fact, we probably finish higher than that. So, however unlikely it is, that's what we've got to aim for.
Do you think the best chance of getting Champions League football next year is winning it? Or do you think we can win and get it in the league?
I'd say it's pretty much 50-50, to be honest, because, it all depends on how we play in the last 12 games of the season. Because I'd say that you've got 12 chances to get into the top 4 in the Premier League, whereas in the Champions League, it's in or out. It's a knockout competition. Yes, Liverpool sometimes are made for knockout competitions, especially in Europe. But no, I'd say it's about 50-50, especially if we play more like we played against Sheffield United. I can see the top 4 becoming more and more close. If we beat Chelsea, I believe we go level with them or 1 point behind them. So yeah, I
think go above them.
We go above them. Let's check the table. But yeah,
sure if we win tomorrow, 46. Yeah, we'd go 4th, 2 points ahead of Chelsea, and providing that West Ham lose their next game, we'd stay in 4th. But even if Everton win tomorrow as well, they'd need to win West Brom by 8 goals. To go above us, or hope we get beat 4-0 and they win 4-0. That's the only way they're going above us. So tomorrow's game can put us 4th, which ultimately makes it the biggest game of the season again, doesn't it?
Every game's the biggest game of the season, mate. It's always looking like that, isn't it? Because everyone's like, if we lose to Sheffield United, we'll be out of the top 4. If we lose to Everton, we'll be out of the top 4. If we lose to Man City, X, Y, Z. Every single game has that feeling of, wow, this is a cup final, isn't it? It's the same with Leipzig as well, because you can't forget about them, like how difficult that game will be again. Yes, we have a 2-goal lead and all that, but they're still a good side and they're still challenging at the top of the Bundesliga. But away from that, Chelsea though has a feeling that it is going to be the biggest game of our season so far, because if we do win it, it puts a whole totally new perspective on everything just by a few places in the table. It puts us actually in that 4th place position, which has for weeks, last probably 6 or 7 weeks, looked out of reach. And that all happened with that would all happen with 2 wins. Sorry. So it's all very together in that league. We can't pay too much heed to the league table this season, in my opinion. People say the league table doesn't lie. For me, it does. This season, especially with, we've got so many teams crammed in such a short area. That doesn't mean that the team in 4th is any better than the team in 9th. So yeah, the only team I think that's far and away everyone is Man City, isn't it?
Yeah. But people are like writing our season off. But if you look at City's last year compared to the year before, that City fell off arguably as much as we have this year. last year, and they were missing the likes of Laporte, they were missing De Bruyne for large chunks of the season as well. So everyone's sitting there saying we're bad champions, but ultimately City's fall off was just as bad last year, weren't it?
Yeah, and the fact that, well, I to be fair, they still got 82 points. Can't say that. But they were missing Laporte for 6 months or whatever it was. They weren't missing Laporte. Who else is a first choice centre back? They decided to play Fernandinho centre back, didn't they? Yeah. I'd say they missed Laporte, Stones, Garcia, the rest of them for the whole season. Especially Laporte. That wouldn't happen. And that didn't happen. So that's why they shouldn't really be compared. I'd say I'd liken our fall to Chelsea's in 2015-16. Because, there was everything seemed to be going against Chelsea. And that was partly because Jose Mourinho was there. That's the sort of feeling he created. But everything's been going against us this season. Whatever anyone says, any rival fan, even with their chest, can say that. And we've actually dealt with quite a lot of it quite well. Yes, there's been this dip in 2021, but hopefully we're coming out of it now, and winning against Chelsea would really solidify that.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think top 4 this year is the key to Kylian Mbappe then? Because we can't go away from these rumours. Every time I seem to go on Twitter at the minute, it's Mbappe wants to come to the Premier League and his destination he wants is Liverpool, and I'd love it to happen, but I've said multiple times I'd rather Haaland. But it looks as though it probably can happen if we get top 4, doesn't it?
Beggars can't be choosers, mate. At the end of the day, if anyone of that caliber decided to come to Liverpool, I wouldn't mind. Either one of you can you're free to come along, lad. But yeah, obviously Mbappe wants to be playing at the highest level. Why wouldn't he? And I think also a massive influence. I had an argument a little bit on Twitter today with one of my best mates, Hass, and he was saying, "Why would he want to come to Liverpool? They're going to be in the Europa League." I'd be like, you underestimate the pulling power of Jurgen Klopp. He's a ridiculously attractive manager in more than one way about attracting players into the club. Like if you look at it, Sadio Mane is he was really, really good at Southampton in that season. Yes, he wasn't wanted by the world superstars, but he came to Liverpool. Mohamed Salah is another one, excellent at Roma. He came to Liverpool. People were saying, "Oh, why do we need that Egyptian lad? We've got Mane, it's fine." But yeah, so and these are players who want to be playing at the highest level. They always have wanted to be playing at the highest level. Sadio Mane nearly went to Real Madrid in 2018. Zinedine Zidane, they just won the Champions League. Zidane just left, of course, but that doesn't matter. But he chose Liverpool and he chose Jurgen Klopp again. He's such a massive pull. I do think the Champions League is a massive thing for Kylian Mbappe. But I think Jurgen Klopp could be just as big. And I think the Anfield crowd and the Premier League, the pull of Virgil van Dijk, of Mo Salah, I think it will just enhance. It's a really attractive prospect.
I'm playing with the likes of Trent down the wing with them and stuff like that. What I find interesting about Mbappe is he's apparently came out and said that when he does move, he wants to play on the left wing, not down the right, not down the middle. Now, loads of people say for Mbappe to come, one of the front 3 needs to go. If it's left wing, that means it would be Mane. Would you be happy if it meant Sadio Mane left if we got Mbappe?
I'm going to use one of your adage phrases here, Matty. I'll drive him to the airport myself. I love him. I love Sadio, right? I don't think if it meant one of them had to go, then yeah, sure, he can go. That's fine with me. If it meant Mbappe, in terms of let's try and put this into context for someone at home, say, for Liverpool to go and get John Aldridge at the time, they had Selly and Rush. And that happened. And yes, loyalty is nothing. Yes, Rush wanted to go to Juventus, all that kind of stuff. So that's fine. But maybe, there will be endless suitors for Sadio Mane. And PSG themselves, maybe there could be some sort of swap deal brokered if they fancied it, because we have to be creative in these times. But yeah, I look, for a player of Mbappe's quality and age, you look at the longevity and commercialism. Nike will be rubbing their hands together if they could be part of Liverpool and Mbappe. Imagine the amount of shirts they'd sell. It'd be ridiculous, especially in the subcontinent. Like, it's honestly, like, if you think that could, in my opinion, nearly, it won't be at the same level as Ronaldo and Juventus, but it won't be far off. And I don't know why Nike wouldn't want to be a part of that, and why Liverpool and Mbappe wouldn't want to be a part of that as well.
Well, I was thinking about that because he's like the poster boy for Nike in football, Mbappe. So people have been linking him with Real Madrid, but why would Nike? Not that they wouldn't allow him because they don't have that much control to say where he goes, but why would Nike? There's been times before when football clubs have had the deal paid for as a backhand gesture by the manufacturer. Why do you think Nike would be involved in that with Liverpool in terms of maybe funds with Mbappe's wages or whatever? Because if he goes to Real Madrid, their like golden child is in an Adidas kit on all the marketing and in games. He's not in a Nike badge.
Well, it makes sense for Nike to try and at least endorse a little bit of it. I don't know what the financial situations of both Liverpool and Nike are, but if I'm being honest, I can't see with the likes of, you know, what we've done in the transfer market before. I can't see Liverpool being able to afford the £200 million probably plus that it would take to sign Kylian Mbappe by themselves. So yeah, we would need help, and that help may come from Nike. Underhand, who knows? Look, I'm not against it. If it meant Mbappe in a Liverpool shirt, I'd do anything.
We're using a video as well about the new. It's not Red? Is it Redbird now? It's called
Redbird. Yeah.
Do you think that's got any pull towards Liverpool? I know he's buying a stake in FSG, which involves the Red Sox and Liverpool. But do you think we'll get to see any of that money?
Yeah, well, it's FSG, isn't it? So it sort of has to go into it. Whether it'll be a significant amount, I don't know. It's only 10%, so that's $750 million, which is a lot of money. Like, if you think about it, especially nowadays. But yeah, so the guy who owns it, Jerry Cardinale, has a big stake in Toulouse in France. Ligue 1, Ligue 2, sorry, they're doing really, really well, but they've played a big part in the careers of the likes of Moussa Sissoko, of Alban Lafont, just players coming through, young talent. Maybe they could be a little bit of a feeder club for us, like Man City do with, I don't know, their City football group. I don't know whether we'd be able to replicate something similar, because we haven't got the name. Like, we couldn't go like Liverpool Toulouse or something like that. That would be an awful name, wouldn't it? Liverpool Toulouse. Like, but no, it would make, look, it makes sense for FSG, and it makes sense for Jerry Cardinale to be involved in Liverpool because they're a massive global brand. So yeah, hopefully we see a little bit of that money, and we will probably, because it is being invested into FSG, which fund Liverpool. So I don't know what the amount would be, but if it helps sign Mbappe, it's all positive.
Do you reckon LeBron's got a shout as well to get him here, because he looks like he's dead good? Nike done a few basketball and football boots this year with LeBron and Mbappe. Seems like they're quite close. LeBron owns some of Liverpool. Why would he let him go to Real Madrid?
Oh, mate, I really hope this is all true. I really hope we've cracked in, and we've really worked out what's going on with Mbappe. LeBron James, world superstar. If he says you want to come to Liverpool, maybe he could reimburse a little bit of the fee. He's got a few quid, so maybe he could help out. But again, it would make a lot of money. So why wouldn't he? It's just a matter of personal interest and whether it can be done underhand enough, I suppose, because I don't think it would be ethical to say, all right, LeBron James is giving Liverpool $300 million for just no reason. Like, I highly doubt he'll do that.
But I'm going to work it out now, because FSG love money, love it. Now, how much do the Liverpool shirts go for? Like 80 quid, aren't they, the new ones?
Yeah, crikey.
So
it's ridiculous.
If FSG love money that much, and people think, they're not going to spend 200 million on Mbappe, But if we buy Mbappe and sell 2.5 million shirts with Mbappe's name on, which is highly likely, that pays for Mbappe.
It does. It does. And then you got the wages, of course. Well, and then another thing we haven't covered about it is the wage structure at Liverpool. Would Mohamed Salah, for example, be willing to say Mbappe's getting paid twice as much as me, even though he's not contributing as much, or he hasn't even been here? You know, how much would that affect the Liverpool dressing room, knowing that they've got a bloke who hasn't even been here, probably doesn't even care about the club? Like, he cares about scoring goals, he cares about his career. But it doesn't even care. I think that's the same for most players, by the way. But for Mbappe's sake, you know, he's walking in, strutting around with his 450k, 500k a week contract, and people like Virgil van Dijk, Alisson, Mo Salah, Mane, Firmino, even Moneybags himself, Wijnaldum, you know, they'd be there like saying, "Oh, well, what about my 500k a week contract? Am I not worth that to you? And why does this bloke have to do it?" You know, it all depends on how understanding they are of how talented the lad is.
With our wages, though, Salah did get, I think it worked out about 300-400 grand a week, didn't it, last year, with bonuses? Because I know they pay low, but then it's all bonus incentive. Do you not think Mbappe would take a contract like that where it's, say, 250 base, and then he gets X amount of money for so many goals, X amount of money for so many assists, X amount of money for games played, similar to that of Salah? Because I think Salah last year got something stupid like 11 million euros over the year. But obviously, Mo Salah scores 20, 30 goals a season to be justified of that. So if Mbappe do you think he would take a pay cut, so to speak, based on his performances? Do you reckon he believes in his ability that much to say, I can get that much money, but I've got to perform for it?
Oh, 100%. Well, if you are at that top level, you have to believe in yourself. You have to be arrogant. And he is, like, he scores a lot of goals. He's 21 years old. He's got the world at his feet. He could be the best player of his generation, one of the best players of all time. Like, the lad is ridiculously talented. So yeah, I don't know whether he would. I don't know whether he's savvy enough to do that. I don't know whether Mino Raiola is savvy. Is it Mino Raiola? Who's his agent, actually?
It wouldn't surprise me if it's him. He has all the money, doesn't he?
But yeah, his agent, I hope, would be savvy enough to say, my player will score this, but then you won't know about injuries. He'd probably want a lot of money based just in case he's covered by injuries. Because obviously, another thing playing into that factor would be, obviously, Liverpool have had a lot of injuries, whether that's to the fault of the club or whether that's just luck, who knows. But you would want them to be covered their own back. It's a really, really weird one, Mbappe. I'd love it to happen. And there's a lot of things pointing for it to happen, but I still don't know whether it will.
I mean, all that I keep thinking is the Real Madrid bench. Again, did you see it in the Champions League game the other day? The bench, they had nobody, absolutely nobody. And the Spanish TV have lost the TV rights. We're seeing Barcelona about to maybe go into liquidation. Real Madrid haven't really got anywhere. They need more of a rebuild than us. So that's all that I keep thinking is, why would you go there? Like, they aren't doing that well in the league. They aren't doing that. I mean, they only beat Atalanta just about 1-0 in the Champions League. They could get knocked out of that because Atalanta are always good away from home. So I just keep thinking, like, why would you go there? Or Barcelona, why would you go there? Messi's getting off. But then if Messi goes to PSG, he stays at PSG, doesn't he?
To be fair, mate, I think he stays at PSG anyway. Because he's picking up the money there. Yes, they may win the Champions League this season. They're one of the two soulless clubs in the Champions League, which I think are the favourites. Them and Man City. Real Madrid are in a real dire situation, but you can't forget that they're still Real Madrid. They're the biggest club in the world, and sadly, that will always be the case. Especially unless they go under, which I highly doubt, because someone's stupid enough out there to pay that money. They're one of the world's biggest brands, so they're going to be a money maker. But they are Real Madrid. Whatever happens, one of the things, again, Haas told me today, Cristiano Ronaldo went to the club when they were in a rut of being knocked out in the Champions League last 16. They're being they got managers like Manuel Pellegrini, who, yes, won a Premier League, yes, but he wasn't as big back then. He ended up going to Malaga after that. They weren't in a good place when Ronaldo went there. So maybe it's the new Galactico generation time. Maybe they're looking to get Mbappe, Haaland, Camavinga those kind of players to really boost their one, their marketing, and two, their chances of rejuvenating in La Liga and the Champions League.
I want to get your thoughts on Mr. Spotify, your favourite player team. Reportedly got the Handshake Agreement with Inter Milan. Wants €10 million a year. Gini Wijnaldum. Do you think he goes? Because I've seen reports saying he wants to stay. Then a few hours later, I've seen reports saying he wants 10 million a year off Inter Milan and a hefty sign-on bonus. What does he
want? It's moolah, isn't it? To be honest, that's all he cares about at the moment. Look, I can't go out and say that I haven't loved Gini Wijnaldum for the last 4 years, because I have. You know, he's been one of my favourite players, and it's sort of like I'm having withdrawal symptoms of him because he's out here. He's playing he's playing around. He's playing the field. It's sort of like right. You've been married to a bloke for 4 or 5 or a woman, actually. We'll say a woman because we're both straight men here. Okay, so when you're married to a woman for 4 years, she's giving you the biggest loyalty. She works hard. She'll go out and she'll get you shopping for you, and she earns just as much as you. You're contributing to a lovely household. Then a shiny older man comes in, got grey hair, but he's got a Ferrari, and she's got her eye on him. She's still there for you, but she's slyly texting this guy on the sly. And then another one comes in, another older man, and so the cycle goes on, and you sort of start to feel like a little bit of love is losing between us, and that's what I'm feeling with Gini. The man spends his life. And then he takes the captain's armband, right, which fumes me even more. How the hell has he been allowed to have the captain's armband above the likes of Trent, Mo, Firmino, Alisson, anyone, Robertson, Curtis, anyone? That man doesn't want to be here, and he takes the captain's armband. I would be bothered if he goes. I quite like him to stay, to be honest, if I'm being brutally honest. But I will be his biggest critic until he signs that contract. And stop updating your Spotify, lad. Stop it.
I mean, with Wijnaldum, it's one of them. Like, I do like him. Purely because on his second day at Liverpool, when I used to work in Curry's, he come and bought a telly off me on like his second day, and he was dead sound. He just went to me, "I want the biggest telly you've got to play FIFA on." I thought, "You're a lad, you." But then, I suppose in his defence, in terms of the money situation, it's his last big contract of his career, isn't it? Like, he's at his peak of his value now. When he's what, 35, he's not going to be able to demand £10 million a year off a club, where right now he can, because he's a Premier League winner, Champions League winner, Super Cup winner, Club World Cup winner.
If anyone's stupid enough to pay it, it's Inter Milan as well, because they're literally a retirement home. They've got Kolarov, other players like that. I know there is lots of older players. Ashley Young is there. And others like that. So yeah, to be fair, Inter Milan is more of a fit than Barcelona for me. I think you go and do quite well there. Whether that may have any sanctions for Nicolo Barella, we'll see as well. But yeah, I would be sad to see him go, but I'd also be happy because he's really wound me up these last few months.
Well, with Inter Milan as well, I only found out yesterday they're owned by the owners of Shanghai Shenhua. I mean, they've went bust now, haven't they? But their owners were paying stupid money in China for wages to get like Carlos Tevez there and stuff. So they probably would pay £10 million for a 30-year-old. That's $10 million a year on a 5-year contract. They're giving Gini €50 million to come and play for them without a sign-on bonus. It's so stupid. With Barella, I don't even know how to say his name. I'm not trying it again. Would Inter Milan don't want to sell him? Do you not think that they want to get Wijnaldum to play alongside him? Maybe
they've got Gagliardini there as well, who isn't exactly excellent. So Wijnaldum and Barella would make a really good partnership. I think Barella's a bit more of a playmaker. Gini's got a lot more energy. I think they work really well together. And you know what? I'd be happy for him if he just left and just told us that he was leaving. Like, that's part of the thing. That's part of the thing with me. It's because it's the same with Chan, and it's the same with, well, not Coutinho, but it's the same with Chan. If you go, tell us you're going. At the end of the day, don't leave us on tenterhooks like, "Oh, I might sign, I might not. Oh, I want to stay, I don't want to stay." Just go. I don't care that much. Like, just leave or stay and tell us what's happening, because otherwise, we're left here with no idea about what's going on. You know, you've been a good servant to the club, but like if you want to go, just go. It's no problem.
What about a replacement for him then? Do you think we've got it naturally? People keep touting Jones to be his replacement, and it really doing me head in because Jones is more of an attacker than Gini. And whoever gets Curtis Jones wrong infuriates me. However, who do you think is a good replacement for him? Do you think we've got someone in the club like Naby, or do you think we go and look into the market? Because with this new person who was brought in, I can't think of his name, the one who was brought in to help with the rehabilitation of players. If he makes Naby, if he makes Naby stay fit, Naby could probably go into that Gini mold, couldn't he?
I think he's a much better footballer than Wijnaldum is. You know, I genuinely think that Naby's got potential to be one of the best players in the world. Like, and that may seem like an outlandish statement. It's definitely one of the best midfielders in the world. And when he has played for Liverpool, he has been that. But yeah, you know what? I do think we need another midfielder in the summer. It's a massively important position to get right. You've seen people like Neuhaus from Mönchengladbach, Barella, as we mentioned, into Milan. Yves Bissouma as well is another one that's gone quiet. He may command quite a big transfer fee. Brighton's owners are loaded, so they don't have to sell. You know, another one that hasn't been touted around, and I quite like, and it sounds, you know, a little bit crazy because he's going to go to Man City, I think, in the end. It's Douglas Luiz from Villa. I think he's a really, really good little player. I don't know how much he would cost again because Villa's owners are loaded, and Man City will probably have some sort of clause in his contract to say that he has to come back when Fernandinho leaves or something. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult one to replace him, but there are a lot of players like him. So I'd say he is the easiest player to replace.
Out the midfield, definitely. But then what worries me is the fact Henderson's 30, Thiago's going to be 30 next season, James Milner is, how old is he, 36, 37, yeah. Stupid like that. Our midfield's aging, isn't it? Massively.
Don't forget, though, we have got two young lads coming through who are really, really impressive. Clarkson and Kane. Definitely Kane, especially in the under-23s games. I've been so impressed with him. Maybe he can make more of like a Jones role next season when Jones plays every game as he should. But you know, yeah, we have to work with what we've got. COVID-19 has had the biggest impact on football that anything has ever had, in my opinion. It will change the transfer market forever. And it will make sure that teams use youth teams as well. Things that have hit football hard. Brexit as well, by the way. We do need more homegrown players. It'll be more difficult to get foreign players in. So we are going to have to look to our youth teams. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with it. If it means that the likes of Kane, Clarkson, Jones again, Mushilovsky, these kind of lads to get a football, Leighton Stewart as well. What is it a bad thing? Maybe not. Maybe we have to wait a little bit longer for success, but I'd much rather do it with a team of Scousers.
100%. What about then? Who else do you reckon goes this summer? It looks like it's going to be a big rebuild for us, doesn't it? I mean, I can probably see Adrian definitely must go. I mean, he was all right, to be fair, against Sheffield United.
Mate, just to start on Adrian, right? Everyone's saying that he was excellent. I don't think he was. He absolutely not you. You didn't say that, but some people have been saying, "Oh my god, you know, we shouldn't have given him all this." Right, the man. Okay, the ball in the first save that he made, it was straight at him. He jumped out of the way and then palmed it away. Like, what you're doing, lad? And then when the ball got passed back to him in the second half, I'm sure it wasn't shown on the camera, but he was facing towards his own goal because you could hear Thiago go, Adrian! And then he had to turn around and go get the ball again. He is just quite nervy. And he's not very good. I'm sorry. He's done as much as he can, but he's a very limited.
Offside goal for Sheffield United, it wound me up because if that wouldn't have been offside, Kabak would have got the blame for that.
Yeah,
wasn't it? But if you look at the still before it gets to that, Adrian's positioning is like he's the other side of the goal. He could have just anyway. He's just dope. He's just a proper dope. I mean, I never want to see him in a Liverpool shirt again after that Villa game. But we've seen it, obviously through circumstances that's horrendous. Well, it's just I hope we don't see him again because Kelleher's a good option, isn't he?
I like Queef. I really, really like Queef Kelleher, actually. Whether he's going to be ever as good as Allison, that's going to be remain to be seen. But, I've heard that we want to get him on a long-term contract as well, which is great. I really like that. I hope that he does play when he's given the option. And with Allison's injury record, it's going to be really important that we have a capable backup keeper. Maybe Allison's been a bit unlucky and all that. But we do need a capable backup keeper. I feel really sorry for Simon Mignolet, actually, because he was there on the bench the season before that, and Alisson didn't miss a minute. Whereas since then, he's picked up all sorts of issues. He'd have been a much better option than Adrian would be. But Kelleher, you know what? He's really impressed, and hopefully he gets a big deal. Keeps him at the club for a long time.
We've got Peter Hugo as well, haven't we? He's meant to be a really good talent. He was injured the other day, which goes to show it's not the injury record, it's just not in the first team. It stems right the way down. Even Minamino's injured at Southampton now. I think if you're just a Liverpool player, you get injured. But yeah, moving back on then to the Chelsea game. Big game. If Mo Salah scores, though, I put this in the group chat yesterday. Obviously, Ian St. John's passed away, which is horrendous news. It, for me, is as important as Bill Shankly for Liverpool Football Club and the foundations and what he'd done for the club and his legacy. If Mo Salah scores against Chelsea, which he always seems to do, he goes above Ian St. John in terms of goal scorers at Liverpool. So it seems like Salah has to score, doesn't he? Like the first game after the passing of Ian St. John, if Salah scores, he overtakes him, and then it further cements his legacy in terms of how much of a good player he actually is. He has to, doesn't he? He has to.
It's so weird, isn't it, how these things work themselves out. Firstly, to say about Ian St. John, Bill Shankly, one of the most famous quotes he ever said was, the board said, we can't afford to sign Ian St. John. And Shankly said, we can't afford not to sign Ian St. John. And he did. And look at what him and Ron Yates in that 60s team, honestly unbelievable, and scored the winning goal in the FA Cup final. Did so many good things for Liverpool Football Club, and the way that he spoke about Shankly and the way that he spoke about Liverpool Football Club showed the man was really a true legend and a true gentleman as well, and that's part of what makes that era of Liverpool so special and so shrouded in myth and legend. But yeah, Mo is another one, who will go down like this. He's changed the culture of Liverpool Football Club. He's helped change the culture. He scores so many goals, and it shows how anyone can disrespect him when he is scoring the same amount, and if not more, on Thursday than such a legend like the Saint. And yeah, he's certainly got a big chance of doing that, because if anyone's going to score for Liverpool at the moment, it's Mo Salah.
Is Mo Salah the best attacker Liverpool have had? Now, a little plug actually. By the time this is up tomorrow, probably before the Chelsea game, there'll be a video going out on the LFC Transfer Room YouTube channel about Mo Salah. Is he the best attacker in the last 20 years for Liverpool? It's hard because I'm in the same position as you over Fernando Torres. He made me fall in love with football. But without saying any statistics, is Mo Salah the best ever in the last 20 years?
In the last 20 years? It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's such a difficult one. I'd say that he is not. And there's one man. Actually, no. There's two people I would say that I would take over Mo. One of them is Luis Suarez. I think he is the most individually talented footballer Liverpool has ever seen. He can win a game out of nothing. I don't think Mo could do that. I think he needs teammates around him, even though he does, do lots of good things. Another one, I'm going to get a little bit of disrespect for this, is Michael Owen. So he's another one, a bit like Suarez, actually, who could win a game by himself. Injuries did him in, and obviously he did move to Man United, but he's also, my middle name is Owen, so my middle name was Michael Owen, and I was born the year after the treble season, which probably makes a few people feel a bit old watching this podcast. But yeah, I would say Mo has, when he becomes our top scorer in the Premier League, which is distinctly possible in the next 2, 3, 4 years, he will be up there, if not the best, in the last 20 years. In terms of all time, he's definitely in the top 5 or 6.
Do you know he's only I think 40 goals off Owen in 120 games less, and I think he's about 30 goals ahead of Suarez as well, maybe 40 goals ahead of Suarez. He's so underappreciated, Mo Salah, isn't he? And against Chelsea, he always seems to turn up. Like that goal, I always, when you think of Mo Salah, for me, all I ever think of is that goal. Remember the rocket against Chelsea?
I was in the Annie Road. I just remember the reaction because Mane had scored a few minutes before, and the crowd was. I think it was in the Champions League time. It was sort of in that area. I don't know whether it was before or after Barcelona, but he honestly that goal, the crowd was already bouncing. Then Mo cut in and put that in, and I just remember going to my brother and we were like, "Oh my god, what on earth is going on here?" That goal was absolutely unbelievable. And I'll never forget it. It's probably one of the, if not the best goal I've ever seen live, for sure.
He's just world class, and you'll be surprised when I hit you with some stats on that video. By the way, Mo Salah statistically is the best striker Liverpool ever had, which is it's mad when you think about Torres, Fowler, Owen, Owen, Fowler, Torres, Suarez. Ian St. John, he's not actually, he's above the likes of John Aldridge, Ron Yates, Ian St. John, he's level with some of the names of players that Mo Salah has got a better goal return, and he's scored more goals than Sturridge as well. It's just, he's so underappreciated. And I think if he, looking back onto the Mbappe thing, I think I'd rather Mane go, as much as I like Mane more than Salah. I think if you take Salah out of this Liverpool team, it's just not the same. If you think about how much I know Mane was at the start of Jurgen, but it seems like Salah revolutionised that front three when he came in, didn't he?
He made it a killer. He made them all killers. Think about the season that Mo came in, 17-18, he scored 44 goals. But let's not forget that Mane also scored 25 and Firmino scored 27. He honestly, and then here's an interesting stat. Since from 13-14 to 17-18, I don't think a singular Liverpool player scored 15 goals. Someone will have to correct me on that if I'm wrong. But I think Coutinho scored 14 a couple of times. Mane scored 13, and then after that, Mo Salah comes in with 44. Honestly, that individual season, man, it's unreal. But yeah, he will go down as one of the best. And people, it's really difficult because people don't appreciate people as much while they have it. And we have to try to do that. It's the same with Van Dijk, and it's the same with Jurgen actually, and a lot of this team. But nostalgia does play a lot of a part, and obviously that's why I love Torres so much, and that's why we will all in 10 years' time go, how do we not appreciate this man as much as we should have done?
Definitely. Looking ahead to the game then, just start Ben Davies and Kabak, or just go with Phillips and Kabak, or if Fabinho's fit, does he go back in with Kabak?
Well, for me, I'd go for Phillips and Kabak. If it's not, again, one of my favourite sayings, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Why would you? They both did really, really well. I'd say Kabak looked a little bit more edgy than Phillips did. If I was going to drop either of them, it would be Kabak. I like the lad. He's really raw. He's got a lot of potential, but for a game like this, we need a stable head. And I think Nat Phillips, despite the fact he's so inexperienced at the top level, brings that. And Phillips and Fabinho did play well in a couple of games they did play together. So if it was me, it'd be Phillips and Kabak. I think it will be Phillips and Fabinho, though.
Do you not think you'll put Fabinho in the 6 and go with, because of Kabak and Phillips doing so well, against Sheffield United, do you not think if Fabinho hasn't played at that 6 since the Everton game, it's 183 days, I think, or 184 days. I think against a team like Chelsea, we'd massively benefit from having Fabinho in that 6, though, wouldn't we?
Oh, 100%. But I'm just thinking what Jurgen Klopp would do. And being honest, I think he likes Fab in that centre-back role. Even earlier in the season, people saying, "Oh, we don't need to sign a new centre back because we got Fabinho. That's why we didn't sign a new centre back." And we ended up having 3 of them injured, plus him, plus Hendo. So that's great. But no, I have a feeling that Klopp would put Fabinho in. But if it was my choice, I'd definitely put him in the 6.
Just start Keita.
Oh, mate. It's so difficult. Because I think this is the kind of game that Thiago could be really effective in. And I genuinely, I love the man. He's a source master. And people criticising him. They can't deny what a wonderful, wonderful footballer he is, and the fact that he played really well the other night as well. Yeah, I do start Naby Keita because I think he helps us break lines, especially if it actually. I'll tell you what now. Here's my contingency here. Fabinho plays, Keita plays. If Fabinho plays in the 6, Keita plays. If he doesn't, I'd say no. I'd bring him on. If Fabinho doesn't play, I play Wijnaldum, Thiago, and Jones. And then if Fabinho does play, I go Fabinho, Wijnaldum. No, Fabinho, Thiago, Keita. That'll be my choice. Obviously, you can't. I really don't want to drop Curtis Jones, but in terms of the game, I think he could. He might even, to give Bobby a rest, start on the left with Mane through the middle and Salah up front, because he was really quite effective on the left when he played there the last time.
He also played as the false 9 in the academy when he was coming through, and he scored something stupid like 80-odd goals and 40-odd assists in his time in the academy. So that could be an option as well in terms of I think Keita is key to winning this game against Chelsea because of how good their midfield is. He's going to come up against the likes of Kante. Mason Mount has been unbelievable this season. And they just look like a different engine under Tuchel. But that's why I feel like Fabinho has to start in that midfield 6. But then it's trusting Kabak and Phillips against the pace of Timo Werner, isn't it? So it's like a catch-22 really, because in my eyes, you can't drop Jones because he's been instrumental in recent weeks. He's been our best player. When he come off against City, we crumbled. Leicester, we crumbled. He was world-class against Leipzig, got a goal against Sheffield United. But then I would like to see Keita and Thiago because it's just one of the best midfield combinations you could probably get out of Liverpool. So it's a bit of a selection headache, which is crazy considering we're riddled with injuries.
We were sold a dream in that Everton game, I think, with that team that played in the Everton draw away for the first 15 minutes. That is the Liverpool we should have seen for the whole season. But unfortunately, injuries are always going to happen, but not as what we expected. And that's when Fabinho started in the 6. Keita and Thiago played in midfield. So what can I say? It's going to be a really, really difficult game against Chelsea, especially the way that they're going. But to have a selection headache is actually really quite nice, and it leaves Spotify man out the equation. So what's worth giving him 10 million euros a year?
Does Jota play then? For me, I would start Jones in that false 9 position, and I'd play Jota and Salah purely because Sadio is out of form.
In front of goal, definitely he's out of form. I thought he played really well the other night at Sheffield United.
His work has never been questionable. It's just usually Mane can just score from anywhere. He can make a goal out of nothing like Salah, and he just seems to have lost it a bit. And maybe his head's turned by a transfer in the summer. Who knows? But would you start Jota in that game? Because he's definitely fit. It makes me think now because he's back in training. He might have been dropped for leaking the goalkeeper, like we've seen people say. Because if he had an appendicitis, he definitely wasn't back in training this week. If he had that, that was
Spying Cop on Twitter, spreading lies.
Yeah. Did you start him then? Is he ready to come on?
Yeah, I don't start him. I start the front 3 if I'm being honest. I don't think they were bad the other night, even though they didn't score. I thought they all interchanged quite well. They've all got quite good records against Chelsea. Maybe not Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea, but still good records against Chelsea. The only one I would consider dropping would be Bobby, and that would be for Jota. So who knows? But I think Jurgen needs to work him back in because he's been out for a long time. Again, like it's been 12 weeks. He's been out since Midtjylland, which he shouldn't have played in. End of against those like absolute caloofs from Denmark. So yeah, no. You know what? I really want to work it. It's the same with Naby. I mean, it's the same predicament we're in with Naby Keita. Is in they are the new generation of Liverpool players that need to be playing week in, week out. How and when do we work them in? They're both got injury problems. That's another way of we have to just really ease them in. Do it like Ferguson did.
Because before you go, then give your score prediction for tomorrow.
Oh, mate, this is difficult. I'm going to go Liverpool 2-1.
I'm going to go 4-1.
I love it.
The last time this season I predicted 2-7-0s, and we won Leipzig 2-0 and Sheffield United 2-0. So I should really say 7-0 because obviously when I predict high, we win. But I do think we'll batter them. To be honest, I don't think their defence is good enough to contain what we can be on the attack. But I think we can contain Timo Werner, who can't finish his dinner at the minute.
There we go, mate. It's going to be really, really tight, and I'm really looking forward to the game.
Perfect. Nice one for coming on, Chris. I massively appreciate it. Hopefully, we're both right. Either way, hopefully we win. We go fourth, and we can actually talk after the game about being happy again instead of being miserable like we have been for the past 6 months. Yeah, nice one as always for coming on. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to leave a like, rate, and subscribe. Once you're watching on Spotify or anything like that, do follow the podcast. We've been Redscast. Nice one for listening.